Ian Hedworth John Little Gilmour, Baron Gilmour of Craigmillar, PC, was a Conservative politician in the United Kingdom. He was styled Sir Ian Gilmour, 3rd Baronet, from 1977, having succeeded to his father's baronetcy, until he became a life peer in 1992. He served as Secretary of State for Defence in 1974 in the government of Edward Heath. He also served in the government of Margaret Thatcher as Lord Privy Seal from 1979 to 1981. Early life. Gilmour was the son of stockbroker Lieutenant Colonel Sir John Gilmour, 2nd Baronet, and his wife, Victoria, a granddaughter of the 5th Earl of Cadogan. His parents divorced in 1929, and his father married Mary, the eldest daughter of the 3rd Duke of Abercorn. The family had land in Scotland, and he inherited a substantial estate and shares in Mexisbury from his grandfather, Admiral of the Fleet, the Hon. Sir Hedworth John. They lived in the grounds of Syon Park in London, with a house in Tuscany. He was educated at Eton College and read history at Balliol College, Oxford. He served with the Grenadier Guards from 1944 to 1947. He was called to the bar at Inner Temple in 1952 and was a tenant in the chambers of Quintin Hogg for 2 years. He bought The Spectator in 1954 and was its editor from 1954 to 1959. He sold The Spectator to the businessman Harold Creighton in 1967. His editorship of the magazine is seen as one of the highlights of the paper's long history. Member of Parliament. He was elected as Member of Parliament for Central Norfolk in a by-election in 1962, winning by 220 votes. He held this seat until 1974, when his seat was abolished due to boundary changes, and he stood for the safe Conservative seat of Chesham and Amersham, sitting as its MP from 1974 until his retirement in 1992. In Parliament, he was a social liberal, voting to abolish the death penalty and legalize abortion and homosexuality. He also supported the campaign to join the EEC. He was Parliamentary Private Secretary to Quintin Hogg from 1963. Gilmour espoused the Arab cause when it was less popular in progressive circles than it later became, and supported it throughout his years in the House of Commons, where his chief ally was Dennis Walters. In government, he served in Edward Heath's government from 1970, holding a variety of junior positions in the Ministry of Defence under Lord Carrington, Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for the Army from 1970 to 1971, then Minister of State for Defence Procurement until 1972, then Minister of State for Defence. He joined the Privy Council in 1973. He replaced Carrington in January 1974 to join Heath's cabinet as Defence Secretary, but lost his position after Labour won the most seats in the general election at the end of February. He was in the shadow cabinet after the general election in February 1974 as Shadow Defence Secretary to late 1974. From the end of 1974 to February 1975 he was Shadow Northern Ireland Secretary. In opposition, Gilmour joined the Conservative Research Department. With Chris Patten, he wrote the Conservative Party manifesto for the October 1974 election, a second lost by a wider margin. When Margaret Thatcher became the new leader of the Conservative Party, she appointed Gilmour as Shadow Home Secretary in 1975, then as Shadow Defence Secretary from 1976 to 1978. He became Lord Privy Seal after the 1979 general election, as the chief government spokesman in the House of Commons for Foreign and Commonwealth Affairs, working again under Lord Carrington, who, as Foreign Secretary, sat in the House of Lords. He co-chaired with Carrington the Lancaster House talks, which led to the end of Ian Smith's government in Rhodesia, and the creation of an independent Zimbabwe under Robert Mugabe. He also negotiated with the EEC to reduce Britain's financial contribution. Backbenchers and retirement. Gilmour did not have good relations with Thatcher. Thatcher remarked in her autobiography, somewhat sarcastically, "Ian remained at the Foreign Office for 2 years. Subsequently, he was to show me the same loyalty from the backbenches as he had in government." Quote, "He survived a reshuffle in January 1981, but was sacked on the 14th of September 1981. He announced that the government was steering full speed ahead for the rocks, and said that he regretted not resigning beforehand. As a moderate who disagreed with the economic policies of Prime Minister Thatcher, Gilmour became the most outspoken wet, delivering a lecture at Cambridge in February 1980 where he argued, in the conservative view, economic liberalism a la Professor Hayek, because of its starkness and its failure to create a sense of community, is not a safeguard of political freedom but a threat to it." Gilmour remained on the backbenches until 1992, and opposed many Thatcherite policies, including the abolition of the Greater London Council, rate capping and the poll tax. He was in favour of proportional representation. In 1989, he was considered by discontented backbenchers as a possible future leader in the event. He supported Sir Anthony Mayor in his leadership challenge in December 1989. However, he did not participate in frontline British politics again, and was given a life peerage by John Major in 1992, becoming Baron Gilmour of Craigmillar in the district of the City of Edinburgh, of which his family were, for several hundred years, the feudal superiors. He was expelled from the Conservative Party in 1999 for supporting the pro-Euro Conservative Party in the European Parliament elections. Beliefs. Gilmour was known for writing coherently from the One Nation perspective of the Conservative Party, in opposition to Thatcherism, in particular in his books Dancing with Dogma and Whatever Happened to the Tories, and in his critical articles in journals such as the London Review of Books. His book, Inside Right, is an introduction to conservative thought and thinkers. He also read the books The Body Politic, Britain Can Work, Riot, Risings and Revolution, and The Making of the Poets, Byron and Shelley in the time. He was pro-European. He was president of Medical Aid for Palestinians from 1993 to 1996, and was chairman of the Byron Society from 2003 until his death. Personal life. On 10 July 1951, Gilmour married Lady Caroline Margaret Montague Douglas Scott, the youngest daughter of the 8th Duke of Buccleuch and sister of John Scott, 9th Duke of Buccleuch. The wedding was attended by several members of the British royal family, including Queen Mary, Queen Elizabeth, and the future Elizabeth II. They lived in Isleworth, and had 4 sons and 1 daughter. On the 22nd of February 1974, Lady Caroline Gilmour launched HMS Cardiff. His wife died in 2004, but he was survived by the 5 children, the eldest of whom, the Hon. David Gilmour, succeeded to his father's baronetcy. Among the younger sons, Oliver Gilmour is a conductor and Andrew Gilmour is a senior United Nations official. Death. Lord Gilmour died on the 21st of September 2007 of undisclosed causes, aged 81, at West Middlesex Hospital, Isleworth, Greater London, after a short illness. Cultural portrayals. Gilmour was portrayed by Pip Torrens in The Iron Lady, a 2011 biographical film of Margaret Thatcher. In the film, Gilmour voices his concern over the decline of manufacturing in the UK. Bibliography. Obituary. The Guardian, the 24th of September 2007. Obituary. The Independent, the 24th of September 2007. Obituary. The Daily Telegraph, the 24th of September 2007. Obituary. The Times, the 24th of September 2007.